Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Cruz and welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to show you how I use the Electro Harmonix Pitch Fork. Let's get it. If you have yet to see my 2022 pedal board rundown, I highly recommend it. I'll link it right up here. I introduced the fact that I recently started using products that I normally wouldn't use or haven't incorporated in a really long time, and one of those was the Pitch Fork. Though I've always been interested in incorporating polyphonic style pedals in my pedal board, whether it be the Pitch Fork, the Pog, the Sub and Up, I never really felt like I had a need for it, despite the fact that the music I was covering for a long time called for these kinds of tones. It wasn't until I finally had the opportunity to redo my pedal board that I realized I had some room to incorporate tones and sounds that I had never incorporated in my rig or that I haven't had in a really long time, and that's where I decided to bite the bullet and pull the trigger on the Pitch Fork. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know the differences between all of the octave pedals that exist out there. To my ear, this one did just fine. It was priced nicely, and the size, the footprint of the pedal was more up my alley. Now, one thing I noticed that this pedal doesn't have that maybe, for example, the Pog has, is that it doesn't have individual knobs to control both the sub down and the sub up, or the two octaves. But to my ear, they pretty much blend very, very well together. And of course, it has a toggle switch where you can choose to either only have the octave up, the octave down, depending on the tone you choose, or have them both on at the same time by keeping that switch in the middle. The thing about these kinds of sounds is that I'm not necessarily attracted to them. For me, I don't get the same vibe from a pitch style pedal that I get from like an overdrive or a delay or a reverb, something that makes me react differently. It's just because I enjoy those kinds of tones, but it doesn't mean that I can't use this product to essentially help enhance the sounds that I do love. So on its own, it's not my favorite, but it was important that I heard this pedal basically dry in order to truly understand it. For today's purposes, I'm simply going to show you how I have been setting up this pedal recently. The blend knob is almost at about 9 o'clock, and I'm using setting number 3 with the dual switch on, meaning I have both octaves going. It's 3 octaves up and 1 octave down. I know what you're thinking, 3 octaves up is a little extensive, but once you hear how I pretty much like to incorporate it, I think you'll understand why I've chosen that particular setting. I show you a little bit of my process when sort of dialing in tones for pedals like this. I play chords, I play notes. I want to know how the pedal reacts, where it stops working, where it continues to work, and where it sounds its best. I then want to test its limits by actually like strumming legit chords just for the sake of hearing what it would sound like, not necessarily expecting that it could honestly be played in this format, but I'm interested. I then decided to throw on some overdrive just to hear some of the tones I would get and how it would react. I think it's important to note though that these kinds of products are better suited when you put them as close as possible to your actual clean signal. What that means is this pedal is the very first pedal in my chain. I would even put this in front of compression, so it's way before overdrives. It is the first pedal that my guitar signal actually hits. I guess the rule of thumb is the closer it is to the guitar signal, the more accurate it will be. And when you're messing with tones like this where you're pitching up and down, you want it to be as accurate as possible because it could sound bad or off very, very quickly, and you don't want that. After incorporating this pedal a little bit, hearing how I would use it in various situations, I think I found a sweet spot for it. It just felt like it would be better suited mixed in with heavy reverbs, heavy delays for some ambient tones. So this really kind of like in the background, high, low end thing that's happening, and it almost makes my swells sound like an actual MIDI. I think it's important that in situations like this, though, you always keep in mind tasteful. Like, I don't necessarily want everyone to identify that there's a pitchfork on it. I just want it to be an addition to the sound that already exists, the texture that I'm building. It's just a different flavor to add within the mix, and I think that's really cool. And it's not to say that every time I use that setting, the swell setting, I'll incorporate this pedal, but it's good to know that I have the option to do so, and it's a great texture. That being the main way that I use this pedal, there is a secondary way that I actually use it, and that's with distortion. I turned on some heavy delays, some heavy reverbs and distortion, and created a solo part that I think would be suitable for this particular pedal. And I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm soloing as much as it is I'm sort of creating a guitar solo part, if that makes any sense. As you can hear, it adds, again, texture, but it almost makes it sound like I'm playing higher on the neck than I actually am because of the 3-octave up that you're hearing. And I still have the low one there because I felt that when I took that low out, it just kind of lacked a little bit of body. And I think that leaving the low octave on kind of balances the sound out. Before I ended this little experiment of mine, I really wanted to hear what this pedal was really doing. Now, obviously there's going to be a slight millisecond delay between the guitar signal that you give it and the actual sound that comes out of it, because it's essentially learning or hearing what you're playing and then mimicking the tones that it needs to mimic, right? However, I found it interesting that when I played clean notes in certain registers, certain sounds just kind of disappeared. So for example, when I pressed that dual switch up and just used the high octave, I was impressed with how it was able to track no matter how high I went and no matter how low in the neck I went. However, when I toggled to just the low register or the low octave, I noticed that high, it tracked very well, but when I went to the low notes, it just disappeared. It was just too bottom heavy, I guess, and you couldn't either hear the note at all or it just didn't exist. So that's something to keep in mind when using this product. If you were sort of looking for this pedal to be your all-around octave style pedal no matter where you were on the neck, I'm not sure this is the right pedal for you, but it definitely sounded good with all of the ways that I personally wanted to use it and incorporated it into my ambient tones. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have this pedal or a pedal like it, how you use it. Maybe you have others that are comparable to this pedal and you have an opinion on whether you think maybe those other products might beat out this pedal and for what reason. Have a conversation with me in the comment section. It would be greatly appreciated. Before you go, please do all of the things that help this channel grow. Like this video, again, comment below, hit the bell notification icon so you do get a notification every single time I upload a video. Feel free to check out some of the affiliate links in the description box below, and of course you can donate directly to this channel by checking out the link in the description box below as well. Thank you so much for watching, and until next week.